Billions at stake, Billionaire discovers incredible truth about Maid in shocking 12-minute test. The conference room buzzed with a palpable tension, a mix of anxiety and anticipation as Jack Callahan leaned against the glass wall of his corner office, his eyes piercing through the cityscape of Los Angeles. Today, he was making waves announcing a 12-minute test that would pit his employees against each other, a ruthless competition promising enormous rewards for the winner. The stakes were sky-high, and without a hint of empathy, he smirked, confidently believing in his carefully warped version of merit and success. In the crowd stood Rosa, his maid, a woman with creased hands that told stories of hard work, a mom struggling to provide for her daughter in a city that thrived on opulence and disregard. Rosa had always been invisible to Jack, a mere cog in his grand machine. But today, she sensed a fire inside her, a chance to finally be heard. The fear gripped her, an emotional whirlwind, yet determination surged beneath it, echoing in her heartbeat. She needed to prove that grit could outplay privilege. As the clock started ticking, dread enveloped her coworkers, shuffling in their tailored suits, eyes wide with panic. The room crackled with competitive fervor. Jack watched, savoring the chaos. But Rosa held steady, guiding her thoughts through the storm. The first minute felt like an eternity. Then, an unexpected twist: one of her colleagues faltered, crumpling to the floor. Instinct kicked in, Rosa rushed to help, her nurturing spirit breaking through the cutthroat competition. This simple act of kindness was like a beacon, penetrating the fog of ambition. Jack's indifference shattered in that instant. He felt a stir in his heart, a flicker of doubt igniting within him. What had he built? A kingdom built on transactions, devoid of the very humanity that Rosa embodied. As he watched her caring nature, something shifted inside him. Memories of his own forgotten warmth resurfaced: family holidays, laughter, and the thrill of connection drowned out by his relentless pursuit of wealth. Before we continue, he thought, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Returning to the chaos, the room simmered in a mixture of disbelief and admiration. Rosa stood strong, the embodiment of resilience against the backdrop of riches and reputation. It was a moment that felt electric, like a pulse of truth igniting in a carefully curated facade. Jack felt the weight on his shoulders. Was success solely measured in dollars? As the whistle blew, ending the test, Jack grappled with a life-altering choice. Could he rewrite his perspective? Could he redefine success beyond mere numbers? Watching Rosa, he couldn't dismiss the impact of her selfless actions. Suddenly, the entire narrative of his empire felt fragile, yet something inside him stirred for the first time in years. He stood at a crossroads, heart pounding, knowing he had to confront the greatest competition of all: the battle between wealth and true worth. Would he dare venture into the messy beauty of connection? As uncertainty enveloped him, a whisper of hope lingered in the air, leaving a tantalizing question poised for the next chapter. Rosa blinked against the harsh fluorescent lights, her heart racing as she processed the unfolding reality. The test was over, but for her, it felt like a beginning. Jack's silence filled the room like a heavy blanket, and she could sense the collective tension, seeped in disbelief and curiosity. She hadn't anticipated this moment would flip the script so dramatically. As her colleagues whispered amongst themselves, their voices a blend of admiration and confusion, Rosa's stomach churned. She had lived in the shadows of power and privilege, enduring dismissive glances, yet today, she had stepped into the light. Would this moment linger, or would it fade like the spark of a dying match? Jack moved closer, his demeanor altered. Gone was the self-assured billionaire. In his place stood a man grappling with an awakening. He approached Rosa with a gentleness that surprised him, and the room fell silent. I never realized, he began, his voice wavering, how important human connection really is. There was a pause, as if the entire building held its breath. You did something today that I haven't seen in a long time. You reminded us all that there's more to life than this vicious competition. Rosa's heart swelled. This was a shift, a humbling acknowledgement that her kindness had pierced the wall around Jack's heart. Suddenly, the stakes of their lives, her struggle, his empire, had intertwined in this fragile moment. But what does it mean for us? She dared to ask, her voice steadier than she felt. Jack hesitated. I need to rethink how I run this company. Perhaps create a new culture, where compassion matters as much as performance. The thought of changing everything made him uneasy, yet exhilarated. Rosa nodded, hope ignited within her. We can make a difference, together. The flickering light of possibility danced between them, drawing the attention of their co-workers, who were now enraptured by this unexpected alliance. Conversations sparked around the room, a flood of ideas, suggestions, and potential plans. For the first time, Rosa felt like she belonged, like her voice mattered. Jack's smile grew as he surveyed the room. This was more than just a business strategy, it was a community in the making. Let us turn this company into a family, he declared, igniting a wave of applause and cheers. But in the back of Rosa's mind, uncertainty loomed. Jack had always been a man of extremes, and now that he tasted the sweetness of connection, would he stick with it when the going got tough? As hope swirled in the air, oblivious to the storm brewing on the horizon, a sudden loud crash echoed from the hallway, breaking their moment. A commotion erupted, as the door burst open. There stood a figure, drenched in shadows, wielding an envelope with a familiar logo, the law firm that had represented Jack. The jubilant atmosphere shifted, tension coiling back around them. Jack! We need to talk now. Heart racing, Rosa glanced at Jack, who had gone pale. What new challenge loomed? Was this moment of promise about to turn into a fight for survival? As the figure stepped further into the room, everything felt poised on a precipice, and Rosa held her breath. Would the truth revealed in that envelope shatter the fragile bonds they had started to build? The figure stepped forward, revealing a familiar face. It was Lisa, Jack's head of legal. Her expression was grim, and the tension in the room tightened like a noose. All the excitement from a moment ago faded, replaced by an anxious silence. Jack, Lisa said, her voice steady but urgent, this cannot wait. We've got issues with the SEC. And it's not just that. This letter holds critical information. I've never seen anything this serious. Rosa felt the collective gasp from their colleagues, a wave of uncertainty washing over the room. Each pair of eyes darted between Jack and Lisa, searching for answers. Jack's earlier swagger faltered, and he clenched his fists, a nervous tic that Rosa remembered all too well. What kind of issues? Jack managed, his tone betraying a mix of anger and fear. Lisa opened the envelope carefully and withdrew the contents. Potential violations, Jack. They're investigating your accounts. They've flagged some transactions that don't line up. She scanned the papers again, then locked her gaze on him. It looks like someone's been siphoning funds. It could get ugly really fast. Rosa's heart sank. The air was thick with tension, and she felt a chill run down her spine. Jack's empire, the one he was just proposing to reshape with kindness and community, was now under serious threat. Her mind raced. Could this be the work of someone who wanted to sabotage his newfound compassion? Who? Who would do this? Jack's voice was almost a growl, filled with determination. The flame of his earlier awakening seemed to flicker, dimmed by the reality of his business world. I don't know yet. Lisa folded the papers back into the envelope, her eyes never leaving Jack's. But this means we have to act fast. We can't let panic set in. You need to prepare a statement. We might need to stall them, regain control of the narrative. Rosa stepped forward, fueled by the urgency in the air. Jack, what if we turned this into a moment for transparency? Show everyone you're not just a businessman but a leader who stands for integrity. Jack's eyes pierced through hers, a mix of gratitude and uncertainty swirling within. And if it backfires? If it backfires, we'll face it together, she said, her heart racing with the conviction of her words. Let us not hide from this. Let us confront it head-on. Prove them wrong. Use this as a chance to show your humanity. The room buzzed with murmurs. Some were skeptical, others showed cautious optimism. Jack seemed to wrestle within himself, caught between fear and the spark of hope that Rosa had reignited in him just moments before. Okay, he exhaled sharply, a decision forming in his mind. But I need everyone's support in this. It will require more than just me. Cheering voices filled the air as the team rallied around Jack, the energy palpable. Yet Rosa watched closely, sensing that the storm was not yet over. This moment of solidarity was fragile, and she couldn't shake the doubts that continued to creep in. As they began strategizing, another thought niggled at her. If someone was indeed sabotaging Jack, what would they do next? Did they have allies within the company? Would their newly forged bonds withstand the pressures that lay ahead? With each ticking second, the thrill of their united front was both exhilarating and terrifying. Rosa could feel the stakes climbing higher. They were standing on the edge of a precipice, balancing their dreams of community against the harsh realities of business greed, and deep down, she couldn't help but wonder if they could really change things, or if the system they were up against was too strong to be challenged. Would this be a moment of transformation, or merely a cruel twist of fate? Jack, she said softly, her voice almost lost in the clamor, are you ready for what's coming? A long silence followed, and in that moment, Rosa held her breath, waiting for him to answer. Would he choose to fight for their vision or retreat into his old ways, leaving everything they had built in ruins? Jack stood there, a tempest of thoughts swirling behind his determined facade. The room was buzzing, voices overlapping, but time seemed to stall as he focused on the enormity of what lay ahead. The stakes had never felt higher, and he could feel the weight pressing down on his shoulders like a leaden cloak. Jack, he heard Rosa's voice again, cutting through his spiral. You've inspired this team. You've shown them a new way. But they need to see you believe in this even now. He sensed the burning gazes of his colleagues, each one willing him to assure them he wouldn't buckle under pressure. But what if he was just a fraud? A man masquerading as a leader while the real one was hiding behind layers of misplaced ambition? I'm ready, he finally said, though doubts curled in the back of his mind. Let us prepare that statement. We'll be transparent. If I go down, I want to go down fighting. A wave of approval rippled through the room, and Jack felt a flicker of warmth, a reminder of why he had decided to change. In that moment, the scattered pieces of his resolve began to knit together. He wasn't just a businessman, he was a human being fighting for a cause larger than himself. As they delved into strategy, voices rose and fell, ideas bounced like quicksilver. Rosa's suggestions energized the group, and he couldn't help but admire her courage. She stood at the front, her passion tangible, her belief in their mission infectious. But amidst the excitement, Jack's mind still wandered back to the letter. Sabotage. Who would want to tear down what they were trying to build? The thought gnawed at him, relentless. He scanned the room and began to wonder about each person around him. Could the enemy be among them? Jack. Lisa's voice broke in, drawing him back. We need to focus. We may not have much time before the SEC comes knocking. He nodded, shaking off the doubts. We'll set the tone for our statements. Honesty first. Transparency second. I need you all on board. As the plan crystallized, Jack felt a strange shift in the atmosphere. The tension of the past moments began to lift slightly, replaced by a shared sense of purpose. Still, a fear lingered, unsettling and persistent. The idea that someone could be orchestrating this from the shadows hung over them like a storm cloud. Suddenly, Rosa paused and looked at Jack, her expression shifting. What if we're not just being watched by the SEC, Jack? What if there are other forces at play? What do you mean? He asked, his heart quickening again. I mean, if someone is sabotaging our efforts, they might not stop. They might be testing for weaknesses. We need to be cautious about what we share, how we interact. We could be giving them ammo. Jack felt the reality of her words. The walls suddenly felt smaller, the air tighter. Okay, let us not just brace ourselves. Let us empower ourselves, he said, holding her gaze. Unity would be their shield. But we also need to investigate. Find out who might be behind this before we move forward. As they began to outline their investigative strategy, the sense of urgency returned, fueling the room. There would be no turning back now. They were steering into uncharted waters, and the fear was palpable. Just as Jack was about to address the group again, his phone buzzed violently on the table, vibrating against the wood like an ominous premonition. The room fell silent, all eyes on him as he reached for it. Looking down, his pulse quickened. It was an unknown number. "Who's that?" Lisa asked, her brows furrowing. Jack could only shrug, a mix of dread and curiosity swelling within him. As he turned the phone over to check for a message, he felt a knot tighten in his stomach. What if this was related to the investigation? What if it was a warning? Should I answer it? Silence hung in the air, an unspoken tension feeding into the unknown. Answer it. Rosa urged, leaning closer, with a deep breath. He didn't hesitate any longer. He pressed the button, ready for whatever revelation awaited him on the other end. Jack raised the phone to his ear, every second stretching into eternity as the room held its collective breath. "Hello?" he said, his voice barely above a whisper. For a moment, there was nothing but silence. Then, a voice cut through the stillness, a deep, authoritative tone. "Jack Bellamy?" "Yeah, this is he," Jack replied, urgency creeping into his voice. "We've been watching you," the voice continued. "I have information that you need to hear. And you don't have much time." Jack could feel the knot in his stomach tighten further. "What's this about?" "Meet me at the Café Millennium, downtown," the voice instructed, urgency piercing through the calm. 30 minutes. "Come alone." The line went dead with a definitive click. His heart raced as he lowered the phone. A mix of dread and intrigue shot through him. What could this be about? Was it connected to the sabotage? Could it be a warning? "Jack." Rosa's voice brought him back. "What did they say?" "I don't know," he admitted, his heart pounding. "I have to meet someone. They claim to have information." "What?" Lisa exclaimed, her eyes wide. "You can't just go by yourself. It might be a trap." Jack could see the concern etched on her face, reflected in the others' expressions too. But he also felt a pulse of determination bubbling within him. He had to pursue this lead. "I need to know what's going on. If there's a chance that this can help us figure out who's behind the sabotage, I can't pass it up." Rosa stepped closer, her expression softening but firm. "Just be careful, please. We can't afford to lose you now." His heart swelled at her words, but the fear was still present. "I will. I promise." He glanced at the clock, calculating. "I have to go now." When he set out, the world outside felt chaotic. People hurried by, oblivious to the turmoil spinning inside him. His mind raced as he navigated through the crowded streets, the sounds of city life becoming a blur. Café Millennium stood amid the noise, a seemingly normal coffee shop bustling with life. But as he stepped inside, his instincts kicked in. He scanned the room, looking for anyone who might match the mysterious voice. After a moment, his eyes locked onto a familiar face at the back table, the café's regular, Greg Hayes, an old reporter he hadn't seen in years. "Greg?" Jack approached cautiously. "Jack, glad you could make it," Greg said, gesturing toward the empty seat across from him. "I didn't want to attract too much attention." "What's going on?" Jack asked, lowering his voice. "Why did you call me?" Greg leaned in, his expression grave. "You're in deeper than you think, Jack. Those letters, they're just the tip of the iceberg. The implications of what I've uncovered could bring down your entire operation." Jack felt a chill wash over him, the weight of those words pressing heavily. "What do you mean? Who's behind this?" "The people you think are on your side, they're not. They're someone close to you." Jack's heart sank, the implications crashing over him like waves. His hands clenched into fists. "That's impossible. I trust my team." Trust can be a dangerous thing, Greg advised solemnly. You need to be careful about whom you confide in, Jack. I'm not sure who it is yet, but the evidence points to someone who is playing a part in your success while plotting against you. As anger boiled within him, Jack's mind raced with a whirlwind of thoughts. Who could it be? Was it really one of his own? The uncertainty gnawed at him like a relentless itch he couldn't scratch. Are you sure of this? Jack asked, desperation creeping into his voice. Let me show you. Greg pulled out a folder, sliding it across the table. You need to see what I found. Just then, the glass door swung open, a gust of cold air blowing through as a tall figure entered the cafe. Jack's heart skipped a beat as he recognized them instantly, their laughter cutting through the tension like a knife. Jack, he heard Rosa's voice, warm and familiar, but now a source of dissonance. His gaze darted back to Greg, fear and uncertainty flooding in. What is going on? The question hung in the air as he stood. Frozen, caught between the chaos of his team and the shadow of betrayal brewing just beneath the surface. Now you have to choose, Jack, Greg whispered, locking eyes with him. Will you look away, or dive deeper into the truth? As the tension escalated, the room felt like it was closing in on him. Jack's mind raced. What was he willing to uncover? Who could he trust? The next move could change everything for him and his team. What would he find in that folder? And more importantly, who was really on his side? Jack's heart pounded in his chest, each beat echoing the weight of the moment. He felt trapped between the warmth of familiarity and the chill of betrayal. Rosa's laughter, usually a balm, felt like a jarring intrusion now. The weight of Greg's ominous words hung in the air, casting a long shadow over the cafe. Jack. Rosa's voice broke through his thoughts, a slight tremor lacing it. Are you okay? He forced a smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. Yeah, just surprised to see you here. She tilted her head, studying him, her expression a mix of concern and confusion. He felt the pull of her gaze, like a warm light battling the darkness closing in on him. But he couldn't focus on her now, he had to resist the temptation of solace. Why are you here? He asked, trying to keep his tone light while the storm inside him raged. Just grabbing coffee, Rosa said, glancing at the barista. Why, what is going on? Jack hesitated, torn. It's complicated, he finally said, avoiding her gaze. Instead, he turned to Greg. What's in the folder? Greg opened it slowly. This, he said in a low voice, revealing a collection of documents, photographs, and lines of evidence. Names, dates, patterns that break the facade. If you read this, things will change forever. Jack's gaze snapped back to Greg, fear intertwining with grim curiosity. What if this really exposed a mole? And more importantly, what if it didn't? The implications of which terrified him. Look, Jack, I need you to understand the gravity of this. Rosa's right, you can't dive in blindly, Greg said, urgency painting his words. But Jack's attention drifted again as he caught sight of Lisa and the others entering the cafe. Their chatter and laughter filled the space, oblivious to the tension coiling around him. Each face reflected the trust they had in him. The weight felt heavier, like a 1,000-pound anchor dragging him down. I can't keep hiding this, he muttered, almost to himself. I need to know. Rosa stepped closer, her voice low and earnest. You might not like the truth, Jack. Are you ready for that? What if it's someone you care about? He looked at her, his heart racing. Here was his anchor. But Greg's words tugged at him. Could someone within his circle be unraveling everything? I have to know, he repeated, a bit louder this time, determination stemming from somewhere deep within. I can't let this sabotage take us down. Greg nodded, his expression solemn. Then this is for you. He slid the folder closer, the papers whispering secrets that could change everything. Rosa's hand brushed against his arm, her touch igniting a spark of warmth amidst his growing dread. Jack, wait. He met her eyes, searching for a flicker of reassurance. What if it is someone I trust? What then? There was a moment of silence, a heavy pause before she spoke. Then we face it together, whatever it is. Jack opened the folder, heart drumming in his ears. The first image made his breath hitch. It was a picture from an event he had attended a year ago. A face in the crowd, familiar yet uncomfortably out of place. That S that cannot be, he gasped, blinking rapidly as if to shake the image from his mind. Rosa leaned in, straining to see. Who is it? Someone I thought I knew, Jack murmured, his voice weakened by disbelief. Someone I trusted. The weight of realization crashed down on him, and fear seized his heart. How could he have been so blind? Jack. Greg urged, his voice sharp. Focus. You have to follow the clues. This could lead you to uncover the whole web of lies. But you need to tread carefully. The cafe buzzed around him, voices laughing, cups clinking, yet all he could hear was the gnawing uncertainty inside. Could it be true? The very foundations of everything he built might be rotting beneath him. As he felt Rosa's hand squeeze his arm, reassurance mixing with rising panic, Jack realized something: he had crossed a line. There was no turning back now. But in trying to uncover the truth, he could lose everything he cherished. What will you do next, Jack? Greg asked, his voice steady but low, like the calm before a storm. Jack looked up, determination rekindling in his chest. I'll find out the truth, and I'll make sure whoever is doing this pays. But as he surveyed the room, the crowd no longer felt like allies. They felt like a web, dangerously tangled. Could he really trust anyone? With every heartbeat, the weight of betrayal loomed larger. The stakes were climbing higher, and he was in for a fight. As Jack wrestled with this new reality, Rosa took a step closer, uncertainty flashing in her eyes. Jack, promise me you won't face this alone. I promise, he replied, but even as those words left his mouth, a rush of doubt flooded through him. Who could he count on now? And just like that, an unexpected twist waited at the next turn. But could he survive the fallout? Jack's pulse quickened as he pulled his gaze from the disturbing image, feeling the weight of the world pressing down on him. This was more than just a betrayal, it was an unraveling of everything he thought he knew. Jack, you're scaring me, Rosa whispered, her hand still resting on his arm, grounding him in a storm of confusion. What is going on? It's complicated, Jack stammered, shaking his head as if trying to dispel the thoughts swirling inside. But he couldn't shake that familiar face, someone lurking in the background, someone he had shared laughter with, moments that meant something in the tapestry of his life. Start from the beginning, Greg said, urgency in his eyes. What do you remember? We can't afford to miss anything. Jack took a deep breath. It was at that charity gala last year. Everyone from the company was there. Friends, partners, and then, he hesitated, struggling to piece together the fragments of memory. There was this guy. He kept appearing in the background of every photo, like he was watching. Is that who it is? Rosa asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I thought it was harmless, Jack said, the realization creeping in that what once felt innocent had layers he couldn't penetrate. Now I just don't know. Identify him, Greg urged, pointing to the photo. If he is connected to this, if he is the mole, we need to find out who hired him. Jack pressed his fingers against the paper, trembling slightly. I don't even know where to start. What if it's someone in my inner circle? Someone I care about? Rosa's voice was steady. We'll figure this out together. You're not alone in this. But Jack felt alone in ways that were suffocating. The cafe had always been a place of community, laughter, and warmth, but now it felt like a battleground. Lisa and the others, who had been smiling, oblivious to the chaos, now seemed more like shadows of doubt than friends. That a weight settled in his stomach. What if everything he had built crumbled away like dust? I should have seen it sooner, Jack said, feeling the regret flood his veins. If I had just listened to my instincts. Don't go down that road, Greg countered. It doesn't help to blame yourself. Then what does help? Jack snapped, his frustration bubbling over. I have to protect what's mine. But at every turn, it feels as if the ground is just gone. Rosa's grip tightened, her eyes searching his. You need to confront this. If you don't, it'll eat you alive. We need to confront the truth, no matter how painful it may be. I know, but Jack sighed, the burden growing heavier. How do I even start? What if it leads to someone I can't bear to lose? No one said it would be easy, Greg said bluntly. But staying in the dark only allows this to fester. You need to dig deeper. He looked from Greg to Rosa, and there, amidst the chaos of swirling thoughts and dread, he found a sliver of clarity. Okay, you're right. I'll confront him. Who are you confronting? Rosa asked. Jack hesitated, realizing the enormity of his next steps. The guy in the photo. I'll dig into what I can about him. Someone knows something, and if it means tearing down walls, then that's what I'll do. As he leaned back in his chair, determination coursing through him, he couldn't shake the feeling that time was ticking away. What did he really know about the people closest to him? Did even Rosa have secrets, a knot twisted in his gut? As he glanced around the cafe, doubt marinated with fear. Could the one thing he cherished most, his relationships, be built on lies? The reality of confronting the truth pressed against him. Jack stood up abruptly, the sudden movement catching both Greg and Rosa by surprise. I'm going to find answers. Now. Just then, as he turned to leave, he spotted a familiar face exiting through the cafe doors, someone he hadn't expected to see, someone who could change everything he thought he knew. Wait, he murmured, heart racing. What if this encounter held more than just answers? What if it opened an entirely new door full of uncertainty? As the door swung closed, Jack felt the undercurrents of fate shifting. Was he ready to step into the unknown? He took a deep breath, steeling himself for the confrontation ahead. The truth awaited, but what would it reveal, and at what cost? Jack's heart thundered in his chest as he stepped towards the door, every instinct warning him to turn back. The familiar face drawing closer made his breath hitch. It was Lisa, a bright smile plastered on her face, oblivious to the implosion taking place within him. The air thickened with tension, as if the whole cafe held its breath. Jack! She exclaimed, her happiness a stark contrast to the storm brewing inside him. I was just coming to find you. I wanted to discuss the charity event, Lisa. Wait, he interrupted, surprising himself with the urgency in his voice. We need to talk. Her smile faltered, brows knitting together in confusion. Talk? About what? He glanced around. People were drifting through the cafe, their laughter punctuating the heavy atmosphere like a siren. But all Jack could focus on was Lisa. What do you know about the guy in the photo? He asked bluntly. The words were raw, cutting through the small talk that used to be so simple between them. She tilted her head, eyes narrowing slightly. What photo? He pulled the crumpled image from his pocket and held it out. This guy. Who is he? I keep seeing him in all the pictures from last year's gala. You were there. You've got to know something. Lisa's expression shifted, her smile fading completely. Jack could see the wheels turning in her mind, a flicker of concern crossing her face. I didn't think what? He pressed, feeling an unfamiliar anger boiling just beneath the surface. What didn't you think? That I'd find out you've been hiding something? Jack, it's not like that. She rushed, her hands waving as if she could erase the tension. That's not fair, I'm not hiding anything. It's just, complicated. Complicated? He scoffed, his voice rising. I'm standing here feeling like everything I've built is crumbling, and you say it's complicated? This guy could be a threat, Lisa. Rosa and Greg watched from their table, anxiety etched in their eyes, sensing the confrontation deepen. Listen, Lisa said, her voice lowering, laden with urgency. It's not just about him. There are layers to this you don't understand. Shadows behind shadows. Please, just let me explain. Jack felt a mix of frustration and curiosity. Then explain. Now. She looked around the cafe, as if weighing the options. Can we talk privately? Please. The plea stirred something in him. A portion of Jack wanted to spiral further into confrontation, but another part craved the truth however painful it might be. Fine. Let us go outside. They stepped onto the sidewalk, the sun flooding over them, yet everything felt distinctly shrouded. Jack's mind churned with every possibility. Could she shed light on the darkness consuming him? As they found a quiet corner, Lisa took a deep breath. You need to understand the guy in the photo. He's connected to something I could never talk about before. It's not just a casual appearance, it's deeper. I didn't know how to tell you. What do you mean deeper? Just tell me everything, he urged, eyes locked onto hers, searching for truth. Her gaze wavered, and Jack noticed a flicker of fear before she answered. He's tied to my past, Jack. To my family. His gut twisted with unease. Why didn't you ever mention this? That you had ties to someone like him? I thought it was all behind me. She pleaded. I didn't want to drag you into my mess. But if he's back, if he's involved in all this, then I don't know what that means for us. The air between them thickened, and Jack felt a sudden wave of dread creep over him. What was the weight of their relationship if built on silent secrets? Just tell me, Lisa. Are you in danger? She hesitated, uncertainty dripping from her lips as she whispered, maybe we both are. The gravity of her words hung heavily, and with it came an overwhelming surge of protectiveness. Jack's mind raced, torn between the ache of betrayal and the flicker of hope that maybe they could navigate through this together. Then we need to confront it, he declared, steeling his resolve. Together. But just as they were about to take a step back towards the cafe, the familiar face from the photo entered Jack's vision once more, this time crossing the street toward them with an unsettling calm. Jack, Lisa's voice trembled, and it was only then he realized how deep the waters had become. What was he about to walk into? Was this at the moment everything would change? Jack's breath caught in his throat as he took in the sight of the figure approaching. The man in the photo, a tall frame, sharp features, and a calculated gait, strolled toward them, exuding an air of confidence that sent chills down Jack's spine. He turned slightly to look at Lisa, her eyes wide with fear. Who is he? Jack demanded, his heart racing faster than ever. What is he doing here? I don't know, Lisa stammered, glancing helplessly from Jack to the stranger. I thought he was gone for good. I didn't expect this. Jack felt a surge of protectiveness ripple through him. He stepped in front of Lisa, ready to confront the man before they could be caught off guard. You need to stay behind me. Jack, wait. This isn't just about you, she whispered urgently. He's in my past, and confronting him isn't going to solve anything right now. The man stopped a mere few feet away, a slow smile spreading across his face. Well, look who we have here. Jack, isn't it? I've heard a lot about you. His voice was smooth, almost mocking, and Jack's stomach churned. What do you want? Jack demanded, feeling a mix of anger and dread bubbling within him. The man tilted his head, surveying Lisa with an amused expression. I'd like to talk, but I guess you can't blame someone for wanting to protect his partner. There was a strange gleam in his eyes. After all, she has a lot of secrets. Enough games, Lisa snapped, stepping up beside Jack. You don't have any right to come here and write? He interrupted, waving a hand dismissively. Rights are nothing when you're dealing with power. He took a step closer, dropping his voice to a conspiratorial whisper. And believe me, I possess more than you can imagine. Your past, Lisa, and your choices affect not just you, but everyone around you. Jack felt adrenaline pumping through his veins. What do you mean? What does that mean for her? The man chuckled, enjoying the tension. Let us just say there are connections that run deep, and if you're not careful, you could find yourselves in over your heads. The amusement faded from his voice, replaced with cold certainty. I'm back for what's mine, and if it involves you too, well, you'll have to make some hard decisions. Fear coursed through Jack. He had no idea what this man's intentions were, but he was certain of one thing: Lisa's secret past was rearing its ugly head, and its implications were far broader than he'd ever guessed. Could he protect her? Would their relationship survive this revelation? Just stay away from her. Jack shouted, a burst of anger flaring in him. I won't let you hurt her. But the man's smile only widened. Hurt her? I wouldn't dream of it. I'm simply a facilitator of opportunities. Lisa, you have a choice to make, and soon you'll choose a side. With that, he turned and walked away, leaving a suffocating tension in the air. Jack stood there, fists clenched, the weight of uncertainty pressing down on him. He turned to Lisa. What does he mean, choose a side? What does it all mean? Tears shimmered in her eyes, and she shook her head, visibly overwhelmed. I thought I could keep you safe. I thought it was behind me, but now what if I dragged you into something far worse? Jack reached for her hand, desperation reflected in her gaze. We'll figure this out together. Just tell me everything. As she opened her mouth to speak, a loud crash interrupted them, and Jack's heart dropped. A car veered toward the sidewalk, tires screeching, headed straight for them. Get down! He yelled, dragging her to the ground as panic flooded his senses. In that moment, everything shifted. Was this truly the end? Or just the beginning of something even darker? Jack's mind raced as he pulled Lisa down, the screech of tires and the roar of chaos enveloping them like a storm. Time slowed, and in the blink of an eye, a surge of instinct kicked in, overriding the chaotic thoughts swirling in his head. The car veered off, narrowly missing them and crashing into a nearby lamppost. A cacophony of smashing glass filled the air as debris flew everywhere. Jack turned, panic etched on his face, searching for signs of danger. Lisa trembled beside him, eyes wide with fear. Are you okay? Jack asked, his voice urgent yet steady, reaching for her hand to ensure they were connected. She nodded, but her expression remained fraught with concern. What just happened? Was that intentional? Jack's heart raced for a different reason now. It was clear the threat was real, and it had just escalated dramatically. I don't know. But we need to get out of here, he replied, scanning their surroundings. They spotted several onlookers, their faces a mix of shock and concern. Shouts echoed from several directions as people pulled out their phones, capturing the aftermath of the crash. Jack could feel his stomach knotting with anxiety. This was more than just a confrontation, they were now ensnared in a web of danger that could envelop everyone he cared about. Jack, Lisa said, breathing heavily as she pulled him slightly closer, urgency lacing her tone. We need to talk to the police. Jack frowned. And tell them what? That we've made enemies who are targeting us for reasons we don't fully understand? They won't take us seriously. But if we don't do something, her voice trembled with the weight of reality. We could be in serious danger. Suddenly, Jack's phone vibrated in his pocket, breaking through the tension in the air. He pulled it out, surprised at the string of notifications. A news alert flashed across the screen, local billionaire's empire under threat, SEC investigation underway. His heart sank. The board would already know about the incident, not to mention the damage to his reputation. But he couldn't focus on that now. Lisa was right, they needed a plan, and they had to act quickly. All right, let us regroup. We need to inform the team. If we're under threat, they need to know, Jack said, determination setting in as they made their way toward the cafe again. As they hurried inside, the atmosphere had shifted. The crowd had swelled, people murmuring in hushed tones, glancing with curiosity and concern towards the scene outside. Jack's colleagues clustered together, worry apparent on their faces. Jack! Rosa's voice rang out as she spotted them. She rushed over, panic etched deeply. What just happened? We heard the crash. Are you both okay? We are right now, Jack said, forcing a reassurance he didn't quite feel. He turned serious, but we need to talk about what's going on. There was an incident out there, a car almost hit us. The group fell silent, eyes wide with shock. An attack? One of his team members asked, their voice trembling. I think so, Jack said, taking a deep breath. But it's connected to something bigger, and it could be just the beginning. We need to come together, all of us, to face this. What can we do? Rosa asked, her determination shining through the fear. We have to investigate. There's a mole in the company. Someone has been sabotaging the team from within, Jack revealed, watching the reactions ripple through the group. Gasps echoed, disbelief painting their brows. Someone cleared their throat. What do you mean? Are you sure? Greg has evidence, Jack replied, nodding toward their old reporter friend, who stood with his own weight of understanding. But I need everyone's help. We can't let fear drive us apart. We must unify our strengths and confront whoever is behind this. The atmosphere charged with purpose as people nodded, exchanging looks of determination. We can't let anyone else get hurt. We can do this, Rosa said, her voice firm. Jack felt a swell of gratitude wash over him. These people were more than just colleagues, they were a team, a family intertwined with ambition and compassion. But be careful, Jack warned, filling the space with a sense of gravity. There's someone we need to find to confront. I need you all to stay alert. With focused urgency, plans began to take shape. The group split into teams, dividing tasks for surveillance, research, and gathering intel on Lisa's past and the mysterious figure who threatened their peace. As conversations hummed with newfound purpose, Jack stole a glance at Lisa. She stood slightly apart, deep in thought, a shadow of concern lingering in her eyes. You all right? He asked softly, stepping closer as he sensed her internal struggle. Jack, if he's back, I won't let my past jeopardize your future. I never meant to drag you into this, Lisa confessed, shame washing over her. Together, remember? He reassured her, reaching for her hand. We'll face it together, no matter who it is. She offered a wobbly smile, squeezing his hand tightly. And in that moment, Jack knew that as long as they had each other, they could face the storm brewing on the horizon. The road ahead might be perilous, but through the fear and uncertainty, a flicker of hope began to grow, a belief that even amidst chaos, bonds forged in trust and resilience could weather any storm. As they gathered their thoughts, the door swung open again with a jarring creak, and through the entrance stepped a figure. Every eye turned toward them, and Jack's breath caught. It was the man from the shadows, the one who had whispered promises of choices and threats. The room froze, anticipation hanging in the air like a heavy fog. Hello, Jack, the man said smoothly, a sly grin on his face. I believe we have much to discuss. The time for action had arrived, and everything was about to change. Jack clenched his fists, ready to protect what mattered the most. In this moment of confrontation, he couldn't help but realize, no matter how precarious their situation, they were stronger together. It was time to turn the tables, reclaiming not just their collective fate, but redefining what it truly meant to succeed beyond the confines of power and rivalry. Jack straightened, heart pounding in his chest as he prepared to battle the shadows, knowing full well that the fight for their future had only just begun. And amidst the uncertainty, the questions began to fade, leaving only the determination that they would confront their fears head-on and emerge victorious from the depths of chaos. Now, the real transformation was about to unfold. If you felt the pulse of this story, you need to subscribe right now to make sure you don't miss the next exclusive chapters. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share this with at least 5 friends who need to witness this incredible journey. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and comment your reactions and thoughts about this intense finale.